you can't beat yourself up over every negative thing you read, you know? And I mean, get out of our industry. Look at look at, you know, Hollywood or whatever it may be, right? Those people, they put themselves out there and then it's like, you know,
7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7 out of 10. Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes, 33%. Like, is your career over? Probably not. Like, did you set out to make a bad project? Or like, it's not like I set out to put out a bad burger, or I set out to put out a bad 5-course tasting menu, or, you know, it's not like we purposefully put, you know, pickles on your burger when you said no pickles. Like, that's not the intention. You know, you hit the nail on the head when you said it's the hospitality industry. You know, that is what we are in, the business of making people happy and giving them enjoyment, you know. My two businesses are on pretty different ends of the spectrum. Right. You know, like one of mine is, you know, not for everybody, but for a lot of people, like the night out, right? They're sitting at 7:30. They're sitting for 2.5 hours eating a 5-course meal, you know, and hopefully enjoying themselves. Whereas, you know, the burger joint is extremely fast casual. A lot of lunch, you know, a lot of, look, not only, but a lot of tradespeople coming in and, you know, grabbing a burger and fries and a Coke and heading out. One is not more important than the other. At the end of the day, you're just feeding people. But you also want people to come back and you want people to enjoy it. We all know that more and more people are conscious of where they spend their money. Obviously, not everyone. Some people have the luxury of not caring. But, you know, for the most part, people are pretty conscious of where their money is going to. And, you know, I tell my staff at all three places, again, whether it's the 5-course tasting menu at Otis or, you know, a burger and order of onion rings at either Lee Frank's, like, people work hard. They work hard for their paycheck, and they have choices of where they can spend that paycheck. And when they choose to spend it with us, it's our job to deliver. Right. And we just do the best we can.
This episode made possible by Restaurant Systems Pro. With excitement, allow me to introduce to you today's guest, chef owner of Otis Restaurant and Lee Frank's, Chef Lee Frank. My man, are you feeling unstoppable today?
Always pleasure to be back. Super happy to sit down with you again. It was a great conversation the first time.
I mean, it really was.
Looking forward to this.
It was episode 766 back, and I think it was either like 2020 or 2021.
What number are we now?
This is going to be 1,129.
See, that's a good testament to you and what you've done with the podcast.
I appreciate
Congratulations.
That. I appreciate that. And it really was a great conversation the first time around. So if you want to pick up where we left, or you want to go back and hear the full story of Chef Lee Frank, I highly recommend it. Truly inspiring story. Lots of great nuggets in that one. Today, I kind of want to pick up where we left off with where you're at. We covered so much of your history in the first episode. I really want to go deeper into what it was like to open Otis and to scale Otis. I had intentions of reaching back out to you, and just before I had done that, Paul Calandrello over at Vivo e Vino said, you got to go talk to Lee Frank. And I was like, you're right. I've been meaning to reach back out to him. So we're making it happen. Before we pick up where we left off, let's get that motivational, inspirational, ball rolling with a success quote or mantra. What do you got for us?
I was trying to think of what I said last time and to like not repeat myself, but I cannot think of it. So if I end up repeating myself, I guess it's just a good sign of consistency. But I think, you know, with everything going on and opening a new place, it would have to be, you know, head down, go forward.
I love it, man. And I think that what you said last time, I might not get it exactly right, but it was be true to yourself.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I said that?
Yeah, you did say that. And it echoed in a lot of what you do. Like, you're really intentional about the jobs you create, the spaces you create to be a reflection of what matters to you and what resonates with you. Do you want to continue that train of thought?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think be true to yourself is a good one. I think because I have the first Lee Franks, and we're now about a month into the second and working. to get the third open. Probably why my brain has slightly shifted to like head down, keep going forward. But Otis is still continuing to chug along. It's still busy, and we're still, not to sound cliche, staying true to what we do.
Down to the branding.
Yeah, we haven't really changed, other than the menu that changes every week. And, I think I might have hung some new art on the walls, but, like, we're just kind of sticking to what we do, and continuing to try to push the food, forward and learn and keep people excited and fresh. With the opening of Lee Frank's, the 2 Lee Frank locations, it's definitely holds true to like be true to yourself. Response from guests, generally positive. I would say look, I tell everyone, in this industry, it's pretty hard to bat 1,000, right? You're never gonna.
If you're doing 500, just like baseball, you're one of the
best.
best.
I mean, it's tough, right? And people get stuck in living off of the negative, the one comment on Facebook or Yelp or whatever that outlet may be that you read of, like, I did not like my experience, or in the burger joint, kind of like the menu's too small, whatever it may be. It's sometimes it's hard not to like hang on to that and be like, all right, what can we do? What can we change? Do we make the menu bigger? Do we add this? People are asking for this. Do we add that onto the menu? Or do we just like stay true to what the concept is and who we are? And you kind of sometimes have to step back and be like, all right, we caught one bad comment. Now, I'm not advocating that everybody should dismiss the negative feedback. It's just part of our industry, right? You put yourself out there into the public, and it's an immediate response. They eat your food. They like it. They don't, right away. But sometimes you do have to kind of take a step back and go, all right, we caught one, not great post or whatever it may be, but we served 1,000 people, right? 999 of them loved it.
Right.
The one you see might be the one that posted, right? The other 999 may not have gone home and taken the time to be like, that was best burger I've had, or whatever it may be. Greatest meal I've had at, at Otis, yada, yada. And, if 999 out of 1,000 loved it and one didn't, like, do you go and not stay true to yourself and change everything? Or do you just go, I'm really sorry you didn't enjoy your experience with us. I hope you're willing to give us another chance, and kind of move forward. Keep your head down and move forward, right? It's almost like those two motivational, right? Stay true to yourself, head down, move forward. It's like they almost just kind of collided there.
Right. 2 things come to my mind hearing you say that. And one, I think in this industry, especially somebody with your background, fine dining, and when it's so important, I feel like it's so important for people in this industry generally to earn approval. We seek to please. We're in the hospitality industry.
Sure.
Like, it's what we're after, is your approval, your happiness.
Of course.
And when we today live in this world where it's so easy to hear the bad news, more easy than ever before, like, it's not just like, sometimes people will put a face on and say, yeah, we loved it. And then they'll go home and they'll say, yeah, it wasn't my favorite, but you're not hearing that bad news. Today, it comes at you from all angles. So to be that kind of person that has the DNA to be in this industry, and to have to expose yourself to the bad news, I think we just don't take it well, Yeah,
I mean, you definitely have to be thick-skinned.
Right.
And again, look, maybe not everyone's going to agree with me. That's just the reality of the world. But, like, you can't beat yourself up over every negative thing you read, And, I mean, get out of our industry. Look at look at, Hollywood or whatever it may be, right? Those people, they put themselves out there, and then it's like,
7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7 out of 10. Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes, 33%. Like, is your career over? Probably not. Like, did you set out to make a bad project? Or, like, it's not like I set out to put out a bad burger, or I set out to put out a bad 5-course tasting menu, or, it's not like we purposefully put, pickles on your burger when you said no pickles. Like that's not the intention. You hit the nail on the head when you said it's the hospitality industry.
Right.
That is what we are in, the business of making people happy and giving them enjoyment. My two businesses are on pretty different ends of the spectrum.
Right.
Like one of mine is, not for everybody, but for a lot of people, like the night out, right? They're sitting at 7:30. They're sitting for 2.5 hours, eating a 5-course meal, and hopefully enjoying themselves. And whereas, the burger joint is extremely fast casual. A lot of lunch, a lot of, not only, but a lot of tradespeople coming in and, grabbing a burger and fries and a Coke and heading out. One is not more important than the other. At the end of the day, you're just feeding people. But you also want people to come back and you want people to enjoy it. We all know that more and more people are conscious of where they spend their money. Obviously, not everyone. Some people have the luxury of not caring. But, for the most part, people are pretty conscious of where their money is going to. And, I tell my staff at all three places, again, whether it's the 5-course tasting menu at Otis or, a burger and order of onion rings at either Lee Frank's, like, people work hard. They work hard for their paycheck, and they have choices of where they can spend that paycheck. And when they choose to spend it with us, it's our job to deliver.
Right.
And we just do the best we can.
Well, the point that you made where you have two extreme concepts, and I was wondering about that. That was my second thought is, do you think that the people who come to Lee Frank's knowing who Lee Frank is, Chef Lee Frank, tying your brand to a prefix 7-course meal, are they having this expectation and then they come and they have I love your concept, by the way. I love burger joints, but I think it's because they have a preconceived notion of Lee Frank. Do you think that sometimes hurts you?
So it's funny you asked that, or not funny you asked that. It's actually a great question, and I definitely appreciate it.
Thank you.
Because that was definitely a fear, maybe worry is a better word, of mine when we opened the original. Because I hate saying it, because I'm known for Otis. I don't think I'm known for anything. I don't swallow the people know who I am pill very well. Keep it humble, right? Head down, push forward. But that was a nerve-wracking thing. Like, were people coming in expecting the, like, truffle fry, like,
right.
Foie, like the Daniel Ballou, like foie gras, short rib, like
right, the $100 burger.
Yeah, exactly. The $100 burger, or the the Wagyu, $25,
ground
thick,
fillet.
just crazy ground, yeah, exactly. So that was like a worry of mine, right? Because people, again, fine dining background. So kind of two things. One, it turns out no. And two, most people don't know who I am, right? Like, I didn't name the business Lee Frank's, right? First and foremost. I didn't sit down and go, I want to open a burger joint and I want to name it after myself. That was far from the truth.
What was the truth?
So I have an investor. Really, I have a partner, I should say. So it's my wife and I that run the burger joints. And then we have a business partner. Because we knew we wanted to open more than one, financially, it made sense to seek somebody out who understood the industry, believed in us, believed in the concept, and frankly, right, had the financial background to help us grow this business into what we wanted it to be. At the time, I believe they owned like a marketing kind of / PR firm.
Got it.
And he had asked me and my wife to sit down and write down important names, important dates, important places, everything we can think of, and send it to him. And he basically took his team and, like, you know, sat in a room with like a dry erase board and like glass wall, like office conference room, and
Brainstormed it.
And they brainstormed it. And he called me up and he goes, I think we have the name. And I went, all right, like, you know, hit me with it. And he goes, we went through several names. Most of them, like, I actually don't even really remember any of them. And he goes, the one we keep landing on is Lee Frank's. And I literally was like, I really hope we didn't pay
so original.
any money for any of that. So
what were, I'm curious before you go further, what were the words that you gave him?
We, like, my kids' names. I don't remember. Like, I wish I do, you know, but it was like, give me dates. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, how is like a date ever going to translate into a name? But like, I'm not in PR or marketing, you know, I did my task.
Yeah.
But when we came up with the name, or when they came up with the name, Lee Frank's, well, I just found it instantly weird, right? Because it's my name.
Right.
My wife hated it. I mean, hated it.
Did she not take your last name?
No, she did. She did. She doesn't hate my name.
I know.
She hated, well, maybe she does. I'm sure there's days and times where she hates my name. She hated the idea. So it's the first one opened in South Berwick, where she grew up. And her father, who was passed in 2017, but owned a business for 30 years. He owned the small town pharmacy.
Okay.
So it was actually very cool for her to own a business in town, right? Obviously, we were not going to open a pharmacy. I think for her, though, living in town, having kids in town, she's very involved with the community in South Berwick, which is great. I think she just kind of had this hard time driving through the center of town and seeing, like, her husband's name hanging on a sign, or like answering the phone and being like, Lee Frank's, you know what I mean? We actually had a sit down, the three of us, with our business partner, and he kind of said, like, talking to my wife, like, I need to know you're 100% comfortable with the name, you know, and what it's going to be. And he kind of said, like, you have to get out of the idea that Lee Frank is your husband, you know, because she was saying to her, like, I'm going to Lee Frank's, it's like saying you're coming to my house.
Right.
But you're not, right? And he was like, it's an entity. You know, like Tony Roma's, right? Like, I don't know who Tony Roma was. I don't even know if he was ever a guy, but he made a hell of a mean onion ring loaf. You know what I mean? Or,
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Right.
That was their last name
Right.
until, Ray Kroc
Right.
kind of hosed them on that one. But, yeah. You know, so it was an entity.
What was the argument that he gave you that made you 100% okay with it? Was it that?
So I didn't struggle with it as
Okay.
like bad as she did.
Yeah.
Because it is my name. I think if anything, I just found it weird, right? Like at first, like the thought of like just answering the phone and saying my name, like Lee
You
Frank.
never forget it.
It's still funny to me.
Right.
I still have people that I run into or I meet or come to Otis or whatever, or even if I'm working in one of the buildings and they're like, is this your place? And I'm like, it's like, yeah, like I'm Lee Frank of Lee Frank's.
But why? Why Lee Frank's? What did he say to you in terms of like, this is what you should call it?
Yeah. I think it was just, I don't know. Like, I don't really know if anyone knows why a name 100% works.
Well, it's 2 syllables.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's nice.
It's nice. Ironically enough, everyone thinks it's Frank's, like hot dogs, but it's not.
Okay.
It's like my name apostrophe.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Possessive.
I thought that at one point.
No, most people do.
Yeah.
They're like, you own the Lee Frank's, like the hot dog place.
We're the Franks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have Frank's though.
We do, yeah. Ironically, yeah, that was kind of done once the name, like when we wrote the menu, instead of putting hot dogs, like in that little box section.
Burger joint.
Yeah, we put Frank's. I don't know. I think he just thought it was. I think kind of going back to what you said was like some people on the Seacoast did know my name, so that was a little bit of a
It's a
draw.
hyper local brand, you know.
Yeah.
And you're known in
It
Southern
works
Maine.
now.
Right.
I mean, my wife, she doesn't struggle with it now.
Right.
In fact, I think when we first opened the original in South Berwick, we got her a shirt, like work shirts, and I think one of them said Brooke Frank on the back, and then one of them might have said like Lee Frank's wife on the back. I might be wrong about that one. I know she has like one that like jokingly says like Brooke Frank across
I'm an
the
owner
back.
too.
But she tells me all the time. I mean, I'll be honest, she spends much more time in these buildings than I do. That's not to say that I'm never there. Obviously, I was heavily involved in Wells with the opening, and South Berwick when it originally opened. 3 years later, we have a pretty good crew that can kind of run it. You know, I am obviously still involved, but I'm not necessarily smashing a burger 5 days a week there. She says all the time, like, people come in and ask, like, is Lee Frank a person? Like, is there a Lee Frank? And she's like, there is. It's my husband. You know?
mean, I also wonder, is that great marketing for Otis? Like, when people come in and, like, Lee Frank, he's a fine dining chef as well? Like,
yeah, it's funny
let's
you
go check
say
that
that.
out.
I don't know if I've ever actually thought of it in the reverse.
What up, Unstoppable restaurant owners and operators? We have to interrupt today's video to let you know that Restaurant Unstoppable and Restaurant Systems Pro, we're taking our relationship to the next level. Beginning in July of 2024, Fred Langley, CEO of Restaurant Systems Pro, is making himself available once a week in Restaurant Unstoppable Network to answer all of your restaurant systems questions, whether it's the profit margins. He will look at your P&L. Bring your P&L. He will take a look at that. He will dissect it. He will help you find your profit, whether that be through budgeting, inventory management, costing recipe cards, labor, checklists, you name it. He is a master of restaurant systems, and he's making himself available to you. Fred Langley and Restaurant Systems Pro started as a consulting firm, and for over 16 years, they've been helping their clients increase their profit by 10% or more. What are you waiting for? Click the link below to join our Facebook group, Restaurant Unstoppable Network.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely thought of, like, it's partially why we are, not completely, but it's partially why we sought a space in Exeter, because I'm kind of already known in Exeter. Again, I hate saying that. I hate that phrase.
I'm so psyched you're coming to Exeter, man.
We are pumped.
Yeah,
I got to get on the ball.
I love a smash burger.
I do. I mean, it's just simple, classic American, you know. And
I think of P. Terry's. I don't know if you're familiar with P. Terry's concept.
No.
In almost everywhere I travel to, there is a simple burger joint, and sometimes you just want like a double stack simple burger. You got that char on it. It's simple. It's so good. It's affordable, and it hits the spot, man.
And that's the niche we're trying to catch.
There's everywhere you go, there's a local burger joint that crushes.
And I kind of felt on the Seacoast there wasn't.
No.
Now, I will set the record straight. There are other burger joints on the Seacoast, and they are delicious, and everyone should go eat there as well. You know, I'm not trying to take business away from anyone.
Even those burger joints have like the more elevated.
Some of them do, right? Yeah. Like, and I don't think we need to name names. They're super nice people.
Right.
They're super talented. I mean, they got way more spaces than I do. If we're kind of thinking about this, generally the same one.
Right.
Ironically enough, there is one in Exeter. However, yeah, it's different, right? They do.
It's more aligned with what you would think Lee Frank would do. in terms of like elevating and creating unique combinations.
Oh, this one has like short rib, and this one has mushroom and blue cheese, and then you come in here, and my menu is a single with cheese, a double with cheese.
Well, what I want to get into and what I'm really interested in, something I've seen with other really well-known chefs across the country, is they have this dream, their dream concept, Otis, like where like it's an extension of the food I want to do and the environment I want to set, where I can just be myself and do me and create a new menu every week, right? Economically, like that might fill your cups, your soul, but economically, that's much more difficult to make profitable, right? In terms of training people, the staffing, the talent you have to hire, it's a much more complex operation. And you see these chefs who kind of figure out, well, hey, like this is my outlet that like fills my creative juices and is a reflection of who I am. My name might not be on the front door, but it's a reflection of the work I want to do. And then they figure, you know, why not create something that's much more simple, scalable, that to be the cash cow, so I can focus and have more freedom, creative freedom in my true passion. Was that part of your strategy?
Oh, like you could have just written that down. You're like, write that down for me so I could just read it back.
Well, it's recorded.
Yeah, perfect. I'll send people to the podcast and tell them, go to 5 minute, 28 seconds. No, but yeah.
It was 24 minutes on the dot.
There you go.
Just in case.
So, yeah, definitely, 100%. Well, the one thing is, like, Otis isn't replicable, right? A big part of Otis is the small space, the open kitchen. I'm in there. I see everybody walking in, the chef's counter. I'm writing the menu. I'm cooking with my sous chef of a long time, and I have great front of the house staff. And it's really just not maybe it is, but in my head, it's not a concept that I could open 3 or 4 more of, right? And I am not old in any way, shape, or form, but I am 46.
Right.
Do I want to be cooking online at 10 o'clock on a Saturday
beating
when
the crap
I'm
out of everybody?
50,
right.
55? Not really.
Can you? Is that like what happens when you put your livelihood on your body?
I mean, it's obviously much easier to do if you're doing it for yourself, and that doesn't mean it can't be done. There's plenty of incredibly talented, hardworking people over 50 in this industry.
Right.
I know for me, if I have to, I will. It maybe is not something that, and we're not talking 2 years. I'm talking 10 years, or
assuming you stay in good health and nothing horrible happens.
Yeah. And you knock on wood.
Right. Sorry, I don't want to jinx you.
But there has to be an out, right? Like eventually you have to have some sort of an out. And if the day comes where I decide to sell Otis, right, one day, like I'm not retiring on the sale of that restaurant. I don't own the building, You hope that maybe you make enough to pay any outstanding debt you might have,
right,
and maybe something in your pocket. But like, I'm not living the rest of my
I see like a Hugo's situation. Are you familiar with Hugo's in Portland?
In Portland, yeah.
Like maybe the next generation takes it over and makes it their own.
Right. Which I would be great with, and right. I'm not ready to do that. People ask me all the time, "Are you ready to give up Otis?" I'm like, no. Like creatively, pardon me. Like I'm nowhere even close to wanting to give that up. Now, writing the menu every week, I have my days where it's like, I have to start prepping in less than 24 hours and the menu's not solidified. And I'm like just
make it work.
Brain stuff. But then I have my days where I'm like, Saturday by Sunday afternoon, like menu's done, locked, loaded. So I'm nowhere near ready to give that up. I still love the building. I still love being there, interacting with people. Part of it was, part of it, I guess, like you said, was kind of something that was replicable, had the ability to scale. I think you said cash cow. I'm not 100% sure we're a cash cow.
I don't know either. I've heard that expression, but you look at it.
But I know what you mean by it.
You can hire anybody off the street and you can train them to do the job.
Yes.
And you the volume you can do. potentially. You know, like there's way more earning potential.
There is.
Your cost of operations is way lower. Your throughput potential is way higher. You're not selling alcohol, so you don't have those sales. But you could crank out 100 burgers in an hour if you needed to.
Yeah, and we definitely do sometimes. The other one, I think, for me, was kind of filling a void that I felt existed on the seacoast. Look, again, I preface, that's not to say that you can't find a place to get
Every
a burger.
place there's a burger.
And there's not a place to find a really good burger and a really good smash burger.
But not a simple burger.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some of them are a little more simple than others out there, but I just like growing up in LA, burgers are everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere.
In and out.
So to me, you know, it might be a controversial topic in New England. Like, there is nothing better. To me, In-N-Out is the end all be all.
Yeah.
It's the epitome of the perfect, simple burger. The fact, like, I still to this day, when I go home and visit, I go to In-N-Out and I go inside. I don't go through the drive-thru, and I'll go inside and order, and they give me my number, and I wait for my number to be called, and I stand off to the side, and I stare in the kitchen.
In awe.
And I literally am just like, how the fuck do they do this for that many people that fast?
Right.
Like, the In-N-Out closest to my house where I grew up, if you go there at 1 o'clock in the morning, the drive-thru line is out of the parking lot and like legitimately a city block down the street.
Right. And there's probably an In-N-Out 5 miles away or less.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they just crank. And like, yeah, you're not getting through that line in 5 minutes, right? You're the 30th car in line. But they just, the operation is insane to me.
Yeah. And everybody in that place is moving. Like there's nobody standing around.
No. And again, their menu is a hamburger, a cheeseburger, a double-double.
Fries. What else? There's a secret menu, I think.
They have a secret menu, right? Animal style.
Yeah.
And there's, you can order a triple or a quad. I'm sure there's a few others on there. We kind of have our versions of that because, part of this business was modeled after In-N-Out. But, like, besides In-N-Out, there is so many other burger joints, right? You have a place called Apple Pan. It's been there forever. Tommy's. Their claim to fame is, whether they did or not, who knows? But claiming they created the chili burger, first like chili burger in L.A. There's a place called Carney's that I grew up eating at. My menu is very close to theirs. In fact, I was in L.A. in July. And, like, Carney's was my first stop. And the guy that works there, who owns it, I believe his name is John, has owned it since I was a kid. Or the first time I ever went there, like mid-'80s. And I remember I walked up to order, and he took my order. And I was like, hey, man, like, I know you don't know me, but, like, I got my own burger joint. I grew up eating here since, like, 84, appreciate what you do. Like, can't believe you're still here. And he literally was like, if I'm not here, we're just not here. Like, he's still running the business. It's crazy. But, like, yeah, so burger joints in all those places that I mentioned, and I could keep going, is like what you said. It's a simple burger. It's a double cheeseburger. It's not, you're not asking for a choice of cheese. You're not asking for crazy toppings. It is what it is. And all those places have lines out the door, So when I moved to New England and living in New England and whatever, I just kind of noticed, like, that didn't really exist, Like,
For sure.
I think back and I'm like, and again, I'm not saying there wasn't a place you couldn't go and get a smash burger or a really, like, just simple double cheeseburger.
I think it's safe to say it's a West Coast phenomenon. I mean, that's even where McDonald's started.
Yeah, like, I mean, a little bit. They are, there is kind of this like West Coast style burger. The tomatoes cut like real thick.
Right.
You know, like a lot of the places, like Carney's that I mentioned, there's 2 of them. They're in old train cars, kind of like Gillies, but
Yeah.
full-size train car. And like, you know, I remember when I opened the original, a buddy of mine that I grew up with in LA was like, "Are you going to hit him with that Cali-style burger?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "Wait, what is a Cali-style? Like, it's just a burger." And, you know, he was like, "Well, you know, you got that, like the tomatoes cut like crazy thick." We don't necessarily go that far, but like there is kind of this like, you know, Southern Cali vibe to what we're doing. But yeah, it's just
It goes back to your
simple.
mantra in the first episode, just be true to yourself.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when I was asking like what things were you writing down, like even like if I could imagine what you would write down, it would be very Lee Frank, right? So like if he's building a brand and you're staying true to yourself in this list of dates and names and things that resonate with you, like then the natural progression is going to be back to reverse engineering Lee Frank.
Yeah.
So I have so many questions running through my head right now. I do want to talk more about Otis.
Yeah, of course.
We kind of like I intended to start there, and we skipped right over to Lee Frank's. But
No
I feel like I want to pay homage to what got you here. So with Otis, prior to opening, you had mentioned that you struggled with the numbers, and you're not a technology guy, and you didn't have a business partner who was good at numbers. So like what? I think you got the funding from the actual at the bandstand owner, right?
Yeah.
So that's how you got the money.
Yeah, and a little bit of my own.
A little bit you raised from friends and family.
Very little bit of my own, but
Right.
a little bit of my own.
So, I mean, in terms of like that approach of having somebody who has a space who sought you out because they know that they were a fan of the work you've done, and they found out you're on the market, and maybe I can recruit this person. Like, what do we need to know in terms of like how to set that up and things to be aware of to do it right?
Yeah. Well, some of it, like, I hate to say it, some of it was luck and right place, right time. I mean,
Or was it the Force? I don't know if you remember
Right?
us talking about that in the first episode.
So it might have been a little of it. Some of it really was luck and right place, right time, right? Like, I was at Annika Jan's as the chef working for Jason, and happily, right? I loved it there. I love what we were doing there. I love the freedom that he kind of, as we, not necessarily from day one, which is understandable. He didn't really know who I was. And, but eventually it got to the point where, he was comfortable with me changing the menu constantly and, all that stuff. And again, I was happy there. And we had talked about me taking a small percentage of ownership of Annika Jan's. So that kind of helped me, right? Because I kind of got into this, like, I have nothing to lose, like, mindset, right? Like, I can go seek my own place. But if it doesn't work and it's not the right fit, like, I'm in a good spot. You know what I mean? I'm not unhappy. I'm not, like, trying to escape this, like, awful situation.
You have a backup plan.
I had a backup plan. So, really, I was just cooking one day, and I got a phone call from the owners of the inn. And he was like, "Hey, you don't know me, but I own the inn. We have a space. We were going to do something with it. Fell through. We heard you're looking."
Yeah.
Because essentially I had reached out to a realtor. And I looked at a few spaces in Portsmouth, downtown Portsmouth. And I lied through my teeth. Because they were like, how's your like, what's your financial situation? How's your backing? Like, if this moves forward, it's like, first, last, blah, blah, blah. And I just kept saying, like, I'm good. I got deep pockets behind me. I mean, I honestly may not have even had $1,000 to my name in my bank. I mean, so paycheck to paycheck, which a lot of people are.
I mean,
but obviously
I can relate with that.
Yeah. I mean, there's still times COVID, everything as an owner, like, it's not, I still have times where I'm like, I hope those deposits hit real soon, right? Yeah, so that, like, to me, that, I don't know, that was just it was a bit of luck.
Well, what we learned in the first episode was that he invited you, the owner of the bandstand invited you, or the inn at the bandstand invited you to look at the space. What he shared with you did not resonate with you, but you said, "What do I have to lose? I'm going to tell him what I see." And no offense to you if, like, you don't want me, or if I don't want to do what you're suggesting we do, but this is what I see. if you're interested, like, let's do this. And they were interested. So you sold your vision of what Otis could become.
I stayed true to myself on that one.
Yep, 100%.
And a big part of that, kudos to my wife, because she was the one who said, call them, tell them you love the space and you don't love the concept.
Right.
She's like, because if they just say, then never mind, you're still good.
Right.
You know, and which is crazy because my wife was pregnant at the time, which is all like with our second, which is obviously adds another level of like nervousness, right? Like, okay, you know, I'm trying to provide for, you know, my wife and daughter, and we have another one on the way, and like I could open this business, and what if nobody likes it, or what if people like it but like margins are small, and how long before I'm actually going to be able to take a dime out of this business where I can, you know what I mean? Like I had nothing to fall on, and she was just like, do it. Like just, again, like, you know, going back to the mantra, but like just be true to yourself and sell it to them. So we did. It worked.
Yeah.
To your original question of numbers and technology, I'll go numbers first.
Yeah.
I'm not bad with numbers. It's not my strong suit.
Right.
I understand kitchen numbers real well, right? Like food costs and, you know, what to sell something for, what I'm paying for something, where I can maybe buy something where I can run a dish that has a food cost that's a little bit higher and make less, but I'm counterbalancing that with, you know, something that
sells a lot
right. And costs me nothing.
Right.
I'm really good with those numbers.
Menu engineering. Yeah,
restaurant numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know diddly squat about doing my taxes.
That's what are the accountants for?
And it is. I have a meeting at 1:00 with them today. You know what I mean? Like I that like my monthly P&L, I read, I look at, I do not do it. Mm-hmm. I understand it all, but there's definitely a lot of things that when I first opened, I had no idea. Like I had, you know,
like what? Yeah.
I mean, some of it was silly stuff. Like, okay, I'm going to pay this person, you know, this salaried person, I'm going to pay them $1,000 a week. Oh, wait, it actually costs me more than $1,000 a week because I'm paying taxes on them. Oh, I didn't know that.
Right. So that,
you know,
that
or like
$48,000 salary becomes what, like
exactly.
$60,000
or whatever it may be. But yeah, it's
maybe
definitely
60,
more.
yeah.
You know, or like, oh wait, I pay all the tips that I pay to my servers, which I don't pay. Right, like the guest pays. I'm just the in between. I'm the middleman from them to them. I pay taxes on those tips. Like that's a bummer.
Right.
You know, credit card fees really cost me that. I remember my first year in business, like looking at my end of the year P&L with my accountant and being like, what is this number? And he's like, which one? I was like, this one that has like 5 digits in it.
Yeah, the one with all the commas.
Yeah. He was like, that's what you paid in credit card processing fees.
Oh, man.
And I was like,
Well,
like,
this is what
like
gets people
those
in
are the
trouble.
numbers that I didn't know and anticipate.
Well, most people start off in this industry, they're already undercapitalized, and they already don't know that they need 2 years of operating capital just to create awareness, and then they don't factor in all these tens of thousands of dollars of additional expenses. So they start off walking a tightrope, and nothing ever goes according to plan, and there's additional fees that you just don't consider. So what, if anything, saved you? If it was just because it was a hit? And
Yeah, I honestly hate to say it. Some of it was learning those real quickly. Like sending it, like anytime I had a question, like texting the accountant and being like, what is this number? What do I do with it? And then, you know, you just learn, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Otis is now 8 years in.
I was going to say, I was doing the math. I was like, it's 8 years.
8
That's
years
crazy.
in.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's crazy to me that it's 8 years in. It's a very fast 8 years. But it's 8 years in. Like I get it. Obviously, COVID changed.
Right.
COVID changed the entire industry.
Try not to focus too much on that period.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
no,
I mean,
I'm good.
it's-
We can move on and
Right.
let's talk about it like it never happened.
So where were you in 2009 or like January 2020? Where were you January 2020 in terms of like volume?
Busy.
Busy.
Yeah.
Busiest you've ever been?
2019 was real good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2020, January 2020 wasn't bad. And then the world stopped.
Before we continue from that point, there's one more thing I'm curious about, because your relationship, your landlord is also your business partner?
Nope.
No.
So I own 100% of Otis. Okay. I literally just...
And you pay rent to...
I pay rent to the landlord, and I pay them back on the initial note. But they don't take a percentage of anything.
Got it.
Yeah, Otis is 100%.
So you pay your monthly lease, your rent, and then there's additional percentage that goes towards what they put into the space?
Yeah.
Got it.
So when we first wrote the contract, we wrote the note out with terms, and I basically make that payment.
Did you seek mentorship or advice on how to write those terms out?
No.
Any advice on, or maybe this is probably where it gets a little weird on the show, where I want to learn things, but I don't want to expose you either.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
did I learn anything?
Yeah, what can you share that you feel comfortable sharing?
No, I'm an open book. Look, I don't have a bad relationship with them at all. They're great guys. Jaime Lopez and Agustino Nunes, owners of the Inn by the Bandstand. In fact, they opened a restaurant in the Inn.
I heard that.
Yeah, Ambrose. Food's gorgeous. Hired a very talented chef by the name of Stanley. They're doing a good job.
Awesome.
When they opened, I helped them. In fact, I'm the one that handed them the name Ambrose. I helped, how much of it they use, I don't know. But, we sat down and I helped them find, local farms and local purveyors that they could work with, and, what POS system to use and all these little things. We have a pretty symbiotic relationship. Yeah. Is it tense sometimes? Of course, right? Like, they're running a business, I'm running a business. We kind of have this weird in between.
There's the hard conversation.
Bathroom share space, and I'm hot headed. I have a tough time, biting my tongue sometimes. So I'm sure, in times I've let things slip where I then have to think, they are your landlords, right? Yeah. So even if they're wrong, they're kind of right. But prior to them opening the business, going back to 2016, everything they laid out was, or it appeared and still seems that way, was laid out for me to succeed. Because they had this space and they were investing the money. So why would they not want me to succeed? They want to get paid back. And they don't want, you don't want this empty space just rotting next to your inn.
Right.
So they set up the terms pretty friendly for me. We went off of current SBA loan rate, which has never been adjusted.
The SBA loans tend to be on the lower side, too.
They do. Right? So it wasn't. We just kind of went off of market rates, right? And then essentially they gave me how many year term it would be, and divided what I owed by that number.
Yeah.
They've never once asked to adjust the rate higher as rates have gone up or whatnot. The initial rent payment was very low. And
especially 2016, where that space could probably be pulling in today.
It's a small space. So based on square footage, it's not like I'm paying $5 a square foot or something, but it was very manageable. And they literally said, we're doing that so you can be successful.
This is a win-win. You work out, we work out.
Exactly. And they were good. I think the first 3 months I was open. From opening day for the first 3 months, no rent was due, and they just wanted me to kind of let's start start bankrolling and get a little bit of savings in there and whatnot. So they really were great.
That's awesome.
Again, there has been in 8 years there's been tense moments. Obviously, what am I? I'm a little over 8 years in. So at 10 years lease, technically my lease is up.
Right.
There's been no discussion really on that. I know I have a 5-year option in the lease, but that's assuming they want to extend that.
And I think the rent in that area has at least 50% increased for a lot of spots.
Some of
close to
it,
it, yeah.
a lot of them is not as crazy as you would think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Portsmouth rent.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's good.
A lot of
and I'm
people-
willing, it's, when we sit down to talk about an extension, which obviously I'm looking for because I'm not looking to close Otis or have to move it or something. I'm obviously understanding that my rent would go up.
Yeah.
And looking at my numbers, now that I going back to numbers, understand them a little bit more, and really, it's kind of figuring out. You got to figure out your break-even point, right?
Right. And for those who are listening who aren't familiar with the area, during the pandemic, I would say southern New Hampshire and southern Maine got a surge of population. Like people moved out of Boston and they went north and they moved to the country. And what was a house that cost $400,000 in 2019 today costs $650,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's
more.
definitely changed. And you're right. Boston, New York, New Jersey, all these people that worked from home,
right?
Have and a lot of them did move to Exeter,
or
specifically Exeter too.
Well, you got the Felix Exeter Academy there.
Yep.
So you got a lot of money with people who they want to put their kids to school there, so they buy a property in Exeter.
Yeah, and the town's been extremely supportive. I mean, they supported me through COVID and all that. I know they don't want me to go. I don't want to go. In my head, why would the landlords want me to go?
Right.
But that's kind of another conversation for another time. I can't sit and dwell on what they're going to do with my lease as we start to negotiate, or they just say, who knows? I don't know. They could look at me and be like, hey, we want to move our restaurant into your space. I'm not in a position to argue.
Right.
I would put up a case, but it is what it is. I think I would just mentally beat myself up if I try to think about that every day. For me, it's just I kind of know what I bring to the table,
right?
And that's really all I can go for.
So post pandemic, we'll say I think 2021 was the first year that everything was back open 100%, right?
Yeah.
So where is Otis today versus pre-pandemic?
So 2021 wasn't great. We were down 25%.
I think that was common throughout.
Yeah.
That was shared hurt.
To be truthfully honest, would I have rather been down 20%, 30%, or have closed? I'd rather be down.
Right.
Really, we just kind of did things to change the business model.
Like what?
Well, we went to financially, number-wise, we went to tasting menu only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why
we
is
were
that better?
because I know exactly, based on reservations, because we're primarily reservation only, I can look at a week that I'm open. I know I have, so we're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 seatings a night, and I have 150 people coming in that week. Well, it's 150 people times exactly, because everyone's paying the same. Now I know it's really easy to pretty much line up my food costs.
So you're tasting menu. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
You're tasting menu only. What were you before?
We were a la carte with a tasting menu option.
Got it.
So it was about 13 to 15 menu items. Anywhere from $8 to $23.
Got it.
And at the very bottom, there was something called the Sleeper 5. So we named the restaurant Otis because the original building owner, in 1906, was Otis Sleeper.
Okay.
So we used to call it the Sleeper 5. It was a 5-course tasting menu where we, the kitchen, chose 5 items off of that menu to give you. You had no input. It was whatever you literally were just putting in our hands.
That's how
and
I like to eat.
It was fun.
Yeah.
So when we reopened after COVID, truthfully, with transparency, I had to combat the 2 people that would come and sit at the bar for 4 hours, drink a glass of wine, and split a chicken.
Yeah.
Now, do I want those people in my building? Yes, because if that's what makes them happy, great. But I only have 28 seats.
Right.
If I lose 2 of them to splitting a $20 entree, it makes, right, going back to numbers, it makes the numbers real tough.
Right.
We also looked at the percentage of sleeper menus sold
That's what I was
on
curious about.
average.
Yeah, like what was the split between a la carte?
So towards the end, going into the weekends, because we were open more than 3 days a week pre-COVID, going into the weekends, we were almost on average 45 to 55% tasting menu.
Okay.
So half the people were having our tasting menu anyways.
So you had the sleeper menu. Was that the tasting menu?
Yeah, that was the same thing.
And then the a la carte.
And then a la carte.
So half of your revenue, about
Half of the revenue coming in was tasting menu. Half of it was a la carte.
Got it.
So when we reopened, or were getting ready to reopen, I had to really think, okay. Well, first off, when we reopened, we were reopening at 50% capacity, right? This is funny because we said we weren't going to talk about COVID. We were reopening at 50% capacity.
It has left its mark on the industry.
So I have 28 seats.
Yeah.
Well, 50% capacity.
14.
Yeah. But 14 but you're also talking there had to be 6 feet of separation unless I wanted to put up those plastic dividers, which I refused to do because, like you just said,
Yeah.
like, I don't want to eat in this weird sterile environment where the person sitting next to me is behind, like, like I'm not visiting somebody in jail.
Right.
Hey, dude, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
So we really were like 12.
Wow.
And it's hard to make money off of 12 people.
So you had to maximize that. So if you're doing 50%, you got to make sure that.
Right. So we had 12 people as seating. So the 2 seatings a night, that stemmed from COVID.
Got it.
Because obviously the worry was people were going to dine in your restaurant, and then you were going to get a phone call that said, hey, I ate at your restaurant last night, and I tested positive for COVID.
Right.
Which happened to a lot of people.
Right.
It's just the inevitability of it. So in my head, it was like, all right, were you at the 5:30 seating or the 7:30 seating? Because if you were at the 7:30 seating, and maybe I'm wrong on this, I didn't really feel the need to call everyone at 5:30.
Right.
There was no interaction there.
Right.
I did call the 7:30 people.
Right.
That just stuck. We still do it. It just kind of makes it just works for us. Like we kind of, maybe it's just because now, right, we've been doing, 2024, scarily November, pushing 2025. And now we're just used to it, right? But that's where the seating time stemmed from, rather than this rolling service. Like, okay, you ate at 6, so I got to, who else was sitting at 6? And then
it's a lot,
right? Like difficult. You might have been finishing your meal while the 7:45 sat down next to you, so I need to call them too. And I was like, no, like 5:30 and 7:30.
So when you went to 100% capacity, you stuck with the prefix 2 courses, 56 seats.
Yeah,
in a night.
56 max. Yeah. So we decided to stick with it and just see, are people going to come out for this?
What happened?
People came out for it. I'm going back to how I saying now I'm known. But now we're known. People know that they're getting a 5-course tasting menu when they come to us. It's very seldom that somebody sits down and goes, oh, I didn't know it was a tasting menu.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the only person I know of, you're the only person doing prefix with the exception of maybe Paul Callahan at his chef's table, which is only 2 turns a night, and that's only 2 seats. That's 4 people.
So the only other person doing, right, he does it, it's like 2 seats, right?
Yeah, it's like right in front of his,
and it's not the whole restaurant.
No, it's literally, they almost use that as like a marketing to like bring people into the restaurant.
Yeah. And they're phenomenal over there. Paul's very talented. The only other person I know that does a true tasting menu, and probably even, technically more true of a tasting menu than mine, especially when you start talking about like portion sizes and everything, would be Evan Hennessy at Stages at One Washington.
Yep. Get him back on the show real soon. Psyched about that.
Which is, now he has the living room.
Same building, same space.
Same building, It's basically kind of what used to be his dining room. And now, like, his tasting menu is really only in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But he's been doing it longer than I have because I think he's 10 to 12 years deep for Stages. Unbelievably talented. I look at his I still to this day look at Evan's posts of food and go, like, I don't know how your brain. My brain just would never go there.
Right.
You know. But there are other people that offer a tasting menu option. As far as in this area, I think there's a spot in Biddeford. I can't think of the name, but I think there's a spot in Biddeford that's tasting menu only, no dietary restrictions.
So there's
anything.
The point that I was trying to make is that there's not a lot of people doing it, so there's not a huge market for that. But the little market that there is for it, like they don't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
So focus on that market.
Yeah, and you definitely have to be willing to accept that the guests that come and join you are probably not eating there 3 times a week,
right?
Or necessarily every week.
So what I'm curious about, when you went from 100% prefix option, did you, being able to get more potential earning out of each sitting, did you see an increase in total revenue, or did you about break even?
So,
what up, Unstoppable restaurant owners and operators? We have to interrupt today's video to let you know that Restaurant Unstoppable and Restaurant Systems Pro, we're taking our relationship to the next level. Beginning in July of 2024, Fred Langley, CEO of Restaurant Systems Pro, is making himself available once a week in Restaurant Unstoppable Network to answer all of your restaurant systems questions, whether it's the profit margins. He will look at your P&L. Bring your P&L. He will take a look at that. He will dissect it. He will help you find your profit, whether that be through budgeting, inventory management, costing recipe cards, labor, checklists, you name it. He is a master of restaurant systems, and he's making himself available to you. Fred Langley and Restaurant Systems Pro started as a consulting firm, and for over 16 years, they've been helping their clients increase their profit by 10% or more. What are you waiting for? Click the link below to join our Facebook group, Restaurant Unstoppable Network.
At first, we saw an increase.
Okay.
This is when we were going to 100%.
Got it.
Right. We saw an increase because obviously everybody was spending. Well, our tasting menu has gone up. When we first reopened from the shutdown, we kept the tasting menu price at what it was pre-shutdown, which was $50 a person for 5 courses. So $10 a course, which to me is kind of crazily affordable, in my opinion. Now, that affordability is relative, I understand, to everybody's own personal financial situation. To some people, $50 a person is something they could do all the time. To other people, $50 a person we're eating with you on our anniversary.
Right.
And that's fine.
That doesn't include wine, or does it?
No.
That's it.
And we've gone up. We're at 75 now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so now you take a table that came in, had a glass of wine, had a la carte wise soup and chicken, so soup was $8.
Right.
Our chicken was $19. Now they're spending $50.
Right.
I mean, even if you're bad at numbers, you can do the math on that. So yeah, that pushed sales up. And then like everything, they kind of became stagnant again. Not down, just kind of flat. The James Beard this year changed. That changed. Well, the James Beard not semifinal nomination, that changed. We were insanely busy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you got the semifinal on that increased revenue.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
What year was that?
This year.
This year.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
It got announced, I don't know, late January 2024, that I was on the list as a semifinalist. And literally within 48 hours of that announcement, I think I filled up.
People pay attention to the James Beard.
Yeah, I think I filled up for the next 2 months, sold out. We still have people come in congratulating me, and it's nice. It's a great testament. It was definitely a personal goal of mine. Right. It's a great testament to the work I've done over the years, but it's an amazing testament to my staff that's with me. The nomination is obviously in my name, but it
takes an army.
Yeah, it's definitely attributed to the other people. So that helped revenue. I feel like I've been very fortunate that in both Otis and Lee Frank's, anytime we kind of feel we've gotten a little stagnant, or the original Lee Franks, which opened up to gangbusters and then eventually kind of dipped. We just got caught something that like re-sparked, you know, like, and you can pinpoint it, you know, little things over the years, you know, like
a write-up or
a write-up, you know, the beard nom, obviously. But at Lee Frank's, the one for us was, and I don't remember the year. I happened to be working, and I had a kid come in, and he said, "Hey, I have a, like an Instagram, I don't know, an influencer. I don't know what. I'm old. I don't know what they're called."
Was it the roaming foodie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome guy.
Yeah.
Hope he's doing.
Yeah. He had a real bad car accident.
Real bad, and continued love and support
Joe
for him. Yep. So he came in. I had no idea who he was, and he was like, "Hey, I have this like." I keep wanting to say podcast, but it's not a podcast. I have this Instagram page called The Roaming Foodie. Are you good if like you make me some food and I do a little video? And I was like, yeah, sure, thinking nothing of it. And then like I didn't see a video for like months and like forgot about it. And then one day I wasn't even there, but my wife called and she's like, we are like balls to the wall busy. And I was like, what? She's like, there's people in here from Worcester. I was like, wait, what? Like, I mean, I love my burger. I'm not driving from Worcester. You know what I mean?
So is that what he did the video on, the burger?
Yeah. So he did the video and, you know, very complimentary, best burger in New England. Like, look, are we the best burger in New England? I don't know. You make your own opinion. I think it's a good one. You know, did he really feel that way, or does it kind of help us and boost us? Doesn't really matter. But yeah, like it was just all of a sudden it was that like spark and surge we needed.
How long did that last?
A while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, kind of like not, I want to say like to this day, but like we just kind of picked up from that and never really got back to the dip numbers we were before he posted.
How much of that was when you're doing the prefix at this point, right?
Yeah, but he was doing Lee Frank's, not Otis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
he posted on the burger joint.
I was going to say, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when did that happen?
I think that was 2022-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much of that traffic was recurring people coming back after having it versus new people coming in? Are you able to track that?
Yeah. So percentage, I couldn't give you an exact percentage, but like from the day he posted the video, and he tagged somebody else in the video, and I think like between the two of them, there was like over 400,000.
Was this another influencer to come by?
Yeah.
Got it.
I think they had like another, like between the two of them, they had over 400,000
Did you pay for that?
No.
No. I think he, in his model, did he ever get to the point where he was charging?
I don't think so.
Okay. I think he might have. I'm not sure.
It's
from different
possible.
people.
Or, I mean, look, I'm very grateful that he came out. And like I said, but with the horrible accident, I truly hope that he fully recovers. I've definitely seen some roaming foodie posts lately.
Yeah.
I think he's home. Shout out to him, though. If you're listening to
it was
this,
a bad
check
accident.
out the.
It's going to be
it
a
was
slow
bad.
recovery.
Yeah. I wish him the best.
Yeah,
like
as do
what
I.
he was doing, similar to you, but bringing awareness to some of these smaller businesses. Like that's amazing work. People, like, it really did. It's crazy, and I guess this is like, I'm really bad at social media, right? Like if you look at my Instagram page, it's like very often weeks in between me posting.
Right.
And everyone's always like, just like take pictures of 3 dishes every weekend and post them.
Yeah, I'm not the best at it either. I have to have
just
to create a morning routine to remember to do my morning videos.
just like, I know people, you know, a really good friend of mine owns his own business, not in the food industry. He owns a putter customization company called Mainly Putters. And he's like figured out the algorithm. Like he's just good at it. He knows like if I post on Monday and Friday between 11 and 1, I will get like that's my time. My algorithm is set up that I get the most hits then, and Meanwhile, I'm the guy who like gets home from work. It's like 2:00 in the morning, and I like post a picture of like a dish, you know.
Right.
But I think that was my first insight to like how powerful social media could be.
I think 100%. I don't think you can argue that there's power there.
There is. I mean, there's right. That's why. I mean, I can name. I won't, but like I can name restaurant groups on the Seacoast that have a social media manager.
Right.
You know, they're going to all their restaurants, snapping pictures and posting for them.
So, like, I often am quoted as saying, and I echo it a lot, that I believe marketing is the bane of human existence. I think that it's necessary because you can't argue that it has an impact, but at the same time, what happens when everybody is on the same platform, doing the same thing, revolving around an algorithm not being true to themselves?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that I think there are things behind the scenes, collective outcomes to that I think we need to be aware of, you know? So it's like, on one hand, 100%. If you have the roaming foodie come in and do a bid on you, that is going to move the needle on your business. But what happens when the roaming foodie starts taking, you know, like, I'll come to you if you pay me $1,000, and I'll say you're the best burger if you pay me $5,000. Like, right. I'm not saying he's doing that.
No.
There are a lot of people who do use that model.
You literally can watch. I mean, right? You can scroll through Reels or TikTok or whatever you scroll through and literally watch or hear stories of you know, influencers who went into a restaurant and they're like, I'm not paying my bill. Do you know who I am?
Right.
And you're like, yeah. And I have my moments where I'm like, I don't care who you are. So like, this is your bill.
Right.
But then there's times again where you're like, you know, I look back at what the roaming foodie did when he posted for Lee Frank's, and I want to be like, hey, like, Joe, if you want to come back, I'll give you a free burger. Right. Post again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think that
necessary evil, maybe.
Well, it's weird, and I think that it has gone to that point where, like, if you are, to your point, if you are really, really good at creating at marketing yourself and creating a facade of what you want people to think you are, and that's what your branding is, and that's what you say you are, and that's what you're good at communicating, but then they come in and it's a different experience, you know, or like you're really good at just like creating a brand around a sense of identity that people want to identify with.
Yes.
You know, which is really a part of branding. What is the common, like, what is the collective human trend right now? And what trend can we tie our brand to? And a lot of that is health and wellness right now. So if you're a health and wellness brand, like, people want to be seen. Like, if I'm there, people are going to think that I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm sexy, and they want to tie their brand, their personal brand.
Which you are.
Thank you very much. But like, to the point where can we just be the true version of ourselves today to make it, or do we have to be what the people want us to be? Yeah,
it's interesting. It's a good question. I think it's an individual thing, because I can tell you that, like, other than the roaming foodies post, Lee Frank's has never paid for marketing. Mm-hmm. Otis has never spent a dime on marketing, you know, and we're 8 years in, and I was able to be considered, you know, as a semifinalist for the best chef in the Northeast without a.
This happens. It's fine. Yeah. You'll figure it out.
Yeah. Sorry.
Someone walked to the door.
Yeah.
There's cars parked out, so we're sending mixed signals right now.
Without spending money on marketing and staying true to myself. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for everyone. And also, who's not to say that maybe, right? Like, I keep going back to the beard, and I don't mean to. Not that I'm not extremely grateful and humbled by it, but, like, who knows that maybe if I did have a solid marketing team, that nomination might have come sooner.
Right.
Or maybe if I was doing these amazing numbers, but with a marketing team, you know, on the day where maybe I'm not completely sold out, I would be completely sold out.
Right.
I don't know.
So the first experience you had being a part of a team that was on the Beard Foundation radar was Arrows or MC's, Mark and Clark?
Yeah, they won. I worked for them. They won
2013?
No, I think they won 2010.
2010. Were you with them?
I think so. Yeah.
2009 to 2013, right?
Yeah, I was at MC's when they won. I mean, they had been nominated for...
Did Arrows win or did MC's win?
Well, Mark and Clark won.
Yeah.
technically would. Oh, it would have been linked to Arrows.
Okay.
Yeah. With who the chef at the time was Justin Walker.
Got it.
If you've never interviewed Justin, you should really talk to Justin.
I wrote his name down after listening to this morning.
Yeah.
I would love to make that happen.
Justin's a good one.
Yeah.
Super talented. And his restaurant now, Walker's, Maine, in Cape Nettic is.
I'd love to make that happen.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's when people ask me like, where do you go? Like if you and your wife have a date night, where do you go? And I just tell people go to Walker's.
So I guess the point that I was going to ask, back in 2010, do you
Yeah.
think that the talent pool in terms of restaurants doing the quality of food that Arrows was doing, are there more of those restaurants that exist today, in your opinion?
It's a tough one because
Beard quality.
yeah, no,
beard-worthy
I know what
food.
you mean. Part of me obviously wants to say yes, but then I really I don't want to take anything away from what people were doing then.
Right.
I mean, you know, back you had Hugo's in Portland back
Right.
then, which was, I mean, you know, doing crazy stuff. I think I kind of want to say yes. I think part of it is this, you know, it was like the next generation, right? And maybe part of it is social media making the Seacoast a little more accessible and recognized than it just being Boston and Portland, right?
Right.
'Cause Boston's always gotten love. Portland was and obviously continues to become, you know, the great food city that it is.
I think there's also something to be said in a market like Portland or Boston. There's more competition, so that
Yeah.
it forces people to elevate against, because you're going against the person down the street,
Right.
So like you have to elevate.
Yes.
There's also the markets there that can support those types of restaurants.
Right. I mean, and, you know, but I look at around, you know, the seacoast of New England, and I mean, the talent pool is crazy, right? And there's a ton of James Beard nominees, and some of them multiple, you know.
Right.
Evan Hennessy, semifinalist 2014. Evan Mallett, semifinalist
Dave
multiple
Vargas.
years. Matt Lewis, semifinalist multiple years. Yeah, I mean, one of my best friends, Vargas, semifinalist regional several years, and then
Paul Callahan just recently got
Paul Callahan
recognized.
was the year before me. Yep. And Vargas, I think the year Paul Callahan was nominated, Vargas moved from Northeast to outstanding chef in the country. And Chris Vio,
Yeah,
you know, Chris is,
he's killing it.
yeah, he's killing
Milford.
it, you know. I think he actually just closed
Greenleaf?
I think he closed the Haitian on
Oh,
Somme.
okay, that's right. That's right.
No, is it on Somme? Or is that, I always forget. It is. For some reason, I always mix up on Somme and Atma, which is Keith Saracen's pop-up. And I apologize to both of them for mixing those up. Yeah, but he was, I think this year, Chris was nominated for like restaurateur.
What do you know about the process for getting a nomination?
I don't know a lot.
I wonder.
You could be nominated. You can nominate yourself.
right.
You can. There's like an open nomination where essentially you can put a media package together and like submit it. Now that doesn't mean you're going to get nominated, but it might put you in front of somebody that's willing to look and being like, oh, I don't know who this guy is. Let me see what he's doing.
Right.
And then there's just the like you wake up the morning of and you check the list and your name is on it.
Right.
And you're like, holy crap.
I mean, I don't know a lot about the nominating process. I want to say, and I could be totally off, so please don't quote me. But I think it's you get nominated.
Yes.
Right? You get your name thrown into a hat, and then I think from there there's a board of people who,
Yeah,
who
so
know more.
I know, like, essentially, I'm pretty sure it's the semifinalist is normally like, it's like, I think, I don't know if there's a specific number, but usually it's like, say, 10-ish, 10 to 15 names. And then there is, each region has its own committee.
Right.
And again, I could be wrong about this as well, but each region has its own committee. And then that committee is supposed to, I believe, divide and conquer all the restaurants that are on the semifinalist list. Then I believe they're all using the same rubric to score each of those restaurants.
And that's probably where the James Beard influence comes in. As like, this is what you should be weighing when
Right.
considering.
And then apparently the 5 highest scores is who become a semifinalist. I'm sorry. The 5 highest scores are who becomes the finalists.
Right.
That's when they narrow it down. And then it goes out to a vote,
Right.
which is like past winners and who else knows? I'm sure,
Yeah. I mean,
big names. And
is your train of thought still going, or I don't want to cut you
you're
short? Cool. So I think what I've learned, and I think it's human nature I think by nature we are political, right? In the terms of we gravitate towards those we know, like, and trust, and who we've become friends with, right?
Right.
And I think in many ways the James Beard has become like that in a sense of it's a lot about who you know. That will influence those, like, who you network with. Like, do you know the people that are eating at your, and when you network and you're really good at network, yeah, you can absolutely, if you get involved with the James Beard Foundation, if you're active, like, it can absolutely, I think, influence. These are my words, not your words. It can influence your likelihood. I also wonder sometimes, I've had people on the show that think that they got the award and it was their awards because of what they looked like or what their beliefs were. Should that weigh into it? I wonder sometimes. I'm not here to be the one that says, but like, I wonder sometimes, because you cannot deny the influence, the impact an award like this can make in your business. And then when we think about, like, and it's not, I'm not trying to, like, narrow out the James Beard Foundation, but I think it's award culture in general that I kind of have an issue with, because is it about getting the award, or is it about chasing a fiscally responsible business? And sometimes getting the award helps you become a fiscally responsible business. You can't deny that. Like, what's going through your mind as I say that?
Yeah, I think, look, so not everyone in this industry is seeking that award.
Right.
I mean, for a lot of people, it's never a thought. It's not a goal. It doesn't define your career. I watched a lot of my friends get nominated and had conversations with them. On years where I looked up the list the day it came out, didn't see my name. I was like, oh, that's a bummer.
Right.
Because for me, it was a personal goal, but it was also a personal goal of mine, like, for years.
Right.
It wasn't like from when I opened Otis. I was like, I want to turn this into a James Beard, winning restaurant. It was something, I mean, even in, culinary school, it was, or cooking in San Francisco, I knew what they were and what they meant. In fact, when I found out I was on the list, I was completely stunned and shocked. And then, not to sound horrible, but, like, pretty happy for myself. And then all of a sudden, like, my email was going off, and it was like, new reservation at Otis, new reservation at Otis, new reservation at Otis, and I was like,
it's had a great impact for
but
many
I never
people.
thought, like, I wasn't thinking about that. Like, I was like, I'm happy for myself and accomplishing a goal that I had set. And then I was like, oh, wait, as a business owner, yeah, this is real good.
Right.
Yeah, this is good.
So
we're sold out for 2 months now.
So here's my biggest concern when it comes to award culture. I don't want to narrow out the beard, but just award culture. I think that a lot of people they strive to. I think it gets a lot of people in trouble because they strive to want to get an award. Everything that they do is to get that. Like, they have a dream of getting an award, whether it be a Michelin or a beard or whatever it is. And I think to our point we made earlier, there are more award-worthy businesses putting out that kind of food today more than ever before. And my concern is that those restaurants exist to serve the top 1% of diners, right? Yeah. There's just not enough marketplace for everybody. Like if you're all trying to be an award-winning restaurant serving award-winning food, then there's a really good chance you might not make it as a restaurant, because unless you get that recognition, you need that recognition to sustain the business. Right. And I think that if we're all trying to aim for this, and I think if there's a message that my listeners are getting, this is my personal opinion. If you chase that, you might be hurting yourself in the long run, because unless you're in that top 1%, and I think so much of it has to do with network and maybe politics, that unless you're willing to make it about the networking and the politics associated with like what you need to do to get the award, then it's just like, it's kind of like a slippery slope. So instead, focus on serving the 98% of individuals that exist, the people who would eat at Lee Frank's. Right. And get into a business model that's fiscally responsible, that you can have security and you can take care of yourself and your employees. Because if you're chasing that award, unless you're at the top 1%, and it might not be dictated solely on your talent, do you have the resources? Do you have like the different things you'll need to have to achieve that? Then it's a real shitty journey for a lot of people to get to that point.
It definitely can be. I think you can kind of do both, though.
Yeah. Well, you're doing both.
So there's definitely, yeah, it's true. I definitely think, and even maybe a little bit more with Michelin, which is
or
not,
50 best,
which is not even in our area. I mean,
right.
Michelin's not even in Boston. So, but there's definitely like that. You know, there's definitely restaurants in this country that know the Michelin rubric, and they're just trying to knock off the boxes to earn stars, in the hopes that they'll earn stars, and then, you know,
well, it's marketing. Marketing is the main of human. It all ties back to marketing.
But that's what Michelin started as.
It
was a marketing guide.
Yeah,
I mean, they're a tire company.
That,
right. Like, drive to this restaurant on our tires.
Exactly.
So, however, there's a lot of us, and the names that I mentioned, right? Vargas, Chris, myself, Hennessy, blah, blah, blah. I don't think any of us, well, I'll definitely speak for myself, set out to win an award. I think we all kind of stayed true to ourselves.
I agree with that.
And the award came.
Yeah.
Now, like, I look at Vargas, and I'll go back. Part of the James Beard thing is not just like who has the best food in that region. There is supposed to be, whether there is or not, there's supposed to be more to it. It's also who represents their region, who's doing good within their region, right. And who's trying to push their region forward, both through sustainability and doing good within the community and all that. Like, that's what's supposed to be a part of that recognition. To me, I mean, obviously, all the names I mentioned, and maybe just because he's one of my best friends, Dave Vargas is just such a good example of that. Because you're, like you said, like, some of these restaurants are catering to the top 1%. Like, I've been to Vita. He ain't catering to the top 1%. He's just putting out really delicious tacos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not like, only the top 1% can come eat my tacos. He's like, everybody come and crush delicious tacos.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the amount of good he does in the community through starting the
100%.
BIPOC Fest and working with like the Kittery school districts to make their food.
And
all that.
And how
so
I
think you could do both. I think there
100%.
are people out there chasing the awards, right? In hopes that the award will make their business fiscally make sense.
Doing good is good business. And I believe that
Yes.
full-heartedly.
And then there's some of us who are just like, going back to the mantra, like, there's some of us who are just staying true to ourselves and doing what we know how to do. And we're fortunate enough to have that recognized.
Right. So I want to be sure to say that I didn't mean to discount any of those people that you like. I have a lot of respect for all those people as well. Like, they are, to your point, making up a huge impact on their communities.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that's what you meant in any way, shape, or form. I totally knew what you meant. But there are people out there who are opening a restaurant going, we are going to try to earn a Michelin star right away.
And it's like, and I think that those are the people that I'm trying to speak to. It's a very slippery slope.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think my issue really is, if there is any issue, it's like, I think it's the general culture around awards that is prevalent in our industry. And I think it comes back to marketing. And I think that's when I say marketing is the bane of human existence, is because it pulls away from what it's all about, which is feeding people, serving people, hospitality, warmth, generosity, a place to come together and be with your community. And like, that's what you should be chasing. That's what matters. And I mean, I just think it's just, there's a time and place for recognition, and it's through service.
Yes.
So
I mean, no, look, who doesn't? Maybe not everybody, but in general, if you're, I'll go to the mantras, right? If you're staying true to yourself and you put your head down and work hard and move forward, who doesn't want to necessarily not be recognized at some point in time for that hard work?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if somebody knocked on your
It's
door
human
and
nature.
said,
Yeah.
you know, if somebody knocked on your door and said, hey, Eric, we caught your podcast and we went back and we listened to them and we love what you're doing. We want to like recognize you. Like you're probably not going to be like, no, don't recognize me.
Right.
Right? Because to me, you did it the right way, right? You stayed true to yourself. You worked hard. You weren't out to seek podcast of the year, you know, whatever. I'm sure there's a media award for podcasts in this world at this point, but like, you're not going to be upset because you were recognized for your hard work, you know?
No, 100%.
Yeah.
I agree with
but
that.
I definitely know, yeah, it is a weird culture. And I think,
I think we just need to be aware of it.
yeah.
You know?
And I think part of that comes from a demographic. And I'm not saying I know these people, but a certain demographic or maybe a small portion where they're only doing it for, like, they're chasing awards. Their goal is like, you know, I'm going to have at least a Michelin star and win a James Beard in our first 2 years. That's the goal of this restaurant.
You're going to burn out.
You're going to burn out.
You're
You're
burn your
also
people
probably not, I mean, maybe you are, maybe I'm wrong, but you probably aren't 100% true to yourself.
Right.
And the food that you really love and want to do because you're trying to check boxes that you have to check in
Right.
order to even get recognized or put on the map for some of these things. So yeah, it's strange. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm like, you know,
I think
when I didn't go from semifinalist to finalist, you know, a lot of our guests were like, "Hey, like, you know, congratulations. Sorry you didn't move on." And I'm like, you know, I'm good. Like,
Yeah, it's not why I'm here.
It's not why I'm here, but I'm happy that I was recognized. Yeah.
So I do
No
want to talk a little bit
complaints.
more before we wrap up.
Sure.
Oh my God, it's 11:56. We got to. I mean, is there anything in terms of like what is your vision? Let me ask you that question. What is your vision with Lee Franks and Otis collectively? Do you have other
Sure.
projects in mind? Challenges associated with Lee Franks?
Yeah. I mean, do I have other projects in mind? Yeah, I definitely have other concepts in my brain. I'm not seeking to do them anytime soon. Otis is going to continue to be Otis for as long as I'm allowed to do it and as long as people come and enjoy it, which is we're going to continue to change our menu weekly. We're going to continue to try to support the local economy with farms and purveyors. We're going to continue to try to, you know, push the food forward and make delicious food. We're going to continue to just try to make people happy and feel that when they left, they had a delicious meal and a memory and want to come back. Lee Franks is going to hopefully soon, I'm not giving out dates yet, but
Don't jinx it.
hopefully soon going to have 3 locations. I often have to stop and think like by the end of this year, hopefully, knock on wood, I might have 4 actual physical 2 concepts, but like 4 operations running, which is mind-blowing to me because for years and years, I didn't think I'd ever have 1 restaurant.
Right.
The goal for Lee Franks is to get Exeter. The goal right now, small goal, get Exeter open.
Got
Right? We got Wells open, continue to grow Wells. We'll shut down for the winter because it's just dead up here in the heart of the winter.
Right.
Get reopened and really make sure we're locked and loaded for summer because we expect summer to
yeah.
just be crazy here.
Yeah.
You know, there's nobody doing just burgers and dogs at an affordable price. And, you know, the population quadruples in
Right.
Agunquit and Wells in the summertime. Get Exeter open. And then, you know, do I see more than 3 in the future? Yes. Is it anytime soon? No.
Why?
Well, the great story of failed restaurants that expanded too fast, right? I mean, we're already kind of we're going to go from 1 to 3 in like a matter of months. Granted, Wells to Exeter is far enough apart and a different crowd, but you know, I think once Exeter is open, you know, and then we get Wells through a summer, going to numbers, there'll be numbers we'll be able to look at and you go, okay, is this feasible? Where now let's start to look at more spaces, and how long until we try to open 4 or 5? You know, do we wait until the right space comes to us and kind of comes along? Do we go out and actively seek space 4 or 5? I mean, do we hit a point where one day people are wanting to franchise the Lee Franks? Like, would I be open to that? Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Is that gonna happen tomorrow? No.
Right.
And I understand that, but I don't see how this. I mean, I guess I could. The goal is we'd like to continue to expand.
Got it.
You know, throughout the New England states.
So what was the cause for the original surge from 1 to 2? Why not go from 1 to 2 to 3?
Yeah. So Exeter was kind of always on our list, probably because I'm already in Exeter, right? So going back to how I said earlier, I hate that saying, but like my name's known down there.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people in Otis who are like,
it's network. I mean, that's where your network is.
We got a lot of people that come to Otis and are like, oh, we like checked out the burger joint. When are you going to open one closer? You know?
Yeah, I'm a regular. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, and it's a much more densely populated location than South Berwick, Maine.
Right.
you know?
Lots of foot traffic in that area,
yeah,
too. I mean, you're on the edge of it.
We're on the edge of it, but I mean, we're in a great shopping strip mall.
Right next to the hospital.
Right next to the hospital. You know, I look at other lunch options, like quick, fast lunch. You know, it's like Ohana, delicious. Las Olas, delicious. But other than that, what?
Right.
McDonald's, Jersey Mike's.
Right. Chipotle, a little further up the street.
Oh, yeah, there is the Chipotle a little further up. But honestly, like most people are probably going to Las Olas for a burrito right in that pocket. Then they're driving up to...
You got Laney and Lou downtown, which isn't really that fast unless you pre-order.
No, but good.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? Like, why not add more? It's the same thing with Otis in 2016. It was me and Blue Moon Evolution.
Right.
And now it's me, I mean, you know, Paul, Tim over at Cornicello, Ambrose, and, you know, people always ask, like, are you okay with it? Yeah, the more the merrier.
Right.
Like, it just makes the town more diverse and more people coming to it.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Exeter was on the map. We were looking at another location for a long time. It just didn't work out. Kind of blessing in disguise. And then I was actually reached out to by a realtor who I had talked to prior, who had a commercial company in Boston and sold it, and is now with a company up here running kind of their commercial side. He was like, hey, look, I think I got a good space in Exeter. Are you still looking? I said, what? He said, the Donut Love space. I was like, yep, I know it. I was curious what was happening to that space because I know they kind of shuttered that business abruptly.
They grew pretty fast.
I mean,
yeah,
they built and opened Newington, and then like a month later,
we're
kind of gone.
Yeah,
we'll talk about expanding too fast. So Exeter was kind of, and my business partner always wanted Exeter for us, because I'm down there. Besides my name, I'm also just physically down there, right? So like, it's much easier for me to like be at Otis and
stop on the way,
or pop out if there's an issue. Then like, okay, I'm not at Otis and being like, I got to drive to Wells to like, why is the computer not working?
Right.
You know, I mean, granted, my wife does that, but you know what I mean.
That was actually gonna. Sorry.
Yeah, no. He also has knows somebody, you know, some people at the hospital, and they're always, I mean, right? Like, they need a place for lunch.
So I am curious about, this is the last stuff we'll talk about.
Sure.
We'll start to wrap up because I want to respect your time. But as somebody who said in the first interview that you're not really a technology guy.
Horrible at it.
Yeah. As we go into the future and you look at more like operations that are scaling, that have to lean more on technology to offset the lack of, you have to learn how to do more with less, I think is a common theme happening in the industry, where you can lean on technology to absorb more of the responsibility so you can hire fewer people, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that is something that is on your radar more today, like leveraging technology to accomplish more with less? No?
And I think that's just me, because I'm just not comfortable. It all goes over my head, right? Like the whole AI thing, like I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like
a
screaming baby with that shit too. Like I kick and scream, but like it's like ugh.
It's not necessarily that I'm anti it. I just don't get it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I do 100%.
I'll give you a great example. Not a great example. I'll give you a kind of a funny example of my lack of technological expertise. This morning, before you and I got together, my wife and I were working on the schedule for both restaurants.
Are
for
you
both
using
Lee
software
Franks.
for that?
Yeah, my wife does.
Oh, yeah.
So she had a meeting this morning, and she said, when I get back, before you go, we need to do a schedule, right? Because obviously we need to let our employees know when they're working. So I said, all right, I'll just kind of start to work on the kitchen side, right? And you can do front of the house and then make sure that what I put in works, because like people that have day off requests and all that, they give that to her, not to me. So I like went onto my iPhone and opened up like Pages, which like no one uses, right? And like made up like this really just kind of ghetto beta version of a schedule and sent it to her. And she like, and it's like on your phone. So if you want to see the whole thing, you have to like keep scrolling right and left. And she's just like, can you next time just do this like in a Google Doc so we can share it and both edit it? Yeah. And I literally was like, no. And she goes, why? I was like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I don't. I literally have no idea how to make a schedule on a Google Doc. And it's funny because at Otis is easy, right? It's 3 days a week. Like, right. I look at my sous chef, I'm like, be here for those 3 days. Yeah. But like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like, it's not something I can't learn.
I don't think you have to be good at it. I think you have to recognize that you're not and own that you're not good at it and have somebody who is.
I joke where like if Lee Frank scaled huge, and I don't mean like McDonald's huge, but like if
20 locations.
Yeah, if Lee Frank's randomly scaled to 20 locations and several, I mean technically we would be in 2 states, but you get the point of where I'm going. I always joke that like the first thing we need to hire is like a chief technical. Like I need a CTO.
Well,
for the company.
I think as a chief marketing officer too. Like technology, marketing, like those 2 things are as important as a CPA today.
Yes,
and a lawyer. Like I think if you want to scale a business, like you need all the chiefs, because there's just so many things. Like, unless you're a freak of nature, like Elon Musk type of person that can just do like all these different things. Most of us aren't like that.
No, not at all. Yeah, not even a little bit. In fact, the other day I looked at a new car and it was an electric, not a Tesla, but an electric. It was like, and ironically enough, on the way to go to like test drive this car, I had to like stop for gas. And I'm just at the gas being like, this would be nice to not have to stop, right? So we're on this test drive, and the sales guy like hits the button on the screen, and I'm like, there was so much technology in this car that I literally looked at him, and he was like, so what do you think? And I was like, it might be too much,
right?
Like it's so tech packed, like it's just crazy, right? Like, and that is what you're saying, right? Like things are going that way. Like technology is obviously always going to continue to grow, right? Like I am convinced that my 6th grader, by the time she's a senior in high school, will never have to write a paper in her life because she will put
Neuralink, just think it.
Or she will plug 3 words into Google
Right.
and Google will write that thing for her. Right? Which is like what kind of AI does now.
I wouldn't be surprised if we revert back to handwriting just so you have
It freaks me out.
Yeah, just so
Like,
you're forced to think for yourself.
yeah, or like be able to have a conversation about anything. Like, right? Isn't that the thing with learning? Like, you might learn things that you don't necessarily use on a daily basis, but like some of learning, and especially like electives and then college, is just expanding
Right.
like your repertoire of, I always say like I'm kind of one of those people that could have a conversation with anyone about anything. I'm an expert on nothing. I know a little bit about a lot, right?
I can relate to that.
Yeah. So, but it's not that I'm anti-technology. I am just, it's just not my strong suit.
I hear you, man.
You know what I mean? But we are slaves to it. Like, even something as simple, technology that's been around, like my POS system in my restaurant, like, it's not that it, like, when it doesn't work, it's never like Monday at noon.
Right.
It's like Saturday at 7:30
Right.
when I'm trying to run everyone's credit card.
And I think that's the big thing we have to be aware of is that we can literally become slaves to it. That's a reality staring us right in the face. In terms of AI and the power, the potential power that AI could wield. So I think we need to have these conversations so
Definitely.
that whatever we do in the future, we can't lose sight that we are still humans, and we still need to create a world that's optimized for human beings, not the technology in it.
Right.
Because if we're optimizing for the technology in it, that's only serving the people who own the technologies.
Yep.
And we have to be really aware of that. And I'm not saying...
And there's not a lot of people that own that technology.
No, and that I mean, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and
Yeah.
I think that's something. There's a book out there that I've been kind of pitching a lot. It's called Power and Progress. It's a real good book about how we need to be aware about the technology moving forward, because historically, whoever controls the technology controls the power, and they control the vision, the agenda for society, and they pay people off, and you're not even aware it's happening. And so we need to have these conversations. So whatever the future does turn out to be, that it exists to serve humanity, not control it. And I think that's the one thing I like to echo.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and then, at the end of the day, you either got to learn or get left behind.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Chef Lee Frank, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
My friend.
We might have to do a part 3 sometime.
I would love that.
Feel like,
I mean,
I'm pretty sure this could have gone on a little bit
it could,
longer.
and that's really what I'm trying to do. What I've learned is not about how many people you can get on the show. It's about finding the right people and going back to them and going deeper and really finding those people that are in the communities. I've done a few laps around the nation now. I have a pretty good network of individuals across the country, and I want to go back and say, it's been 8 years. What's happened since the last time you were on the show?
for
It's been
sure.
5 years. Like, you've opened 3 restaurants. Like, what's happened? So anything we have not discussed today that you want to get up before we say goodbye?
No, I think we're good. We kind of hit on a lot of subjects.
fun.
Come visit me at Otis or come to one of the
I would love
2,
to.
hopefully 3 locations of Lee Frank's. But, I appreciate you reaching back out. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
is mine.
Again, maybe we touch base again and see where we're both at in a few years. And I look forward to hearing
Right.
who else you have coming up.
So how do we connect? If we listen to this, maybe we want to come join your team. Maybe we want to follow the brand in case we are in the world of franchising, and it's a good option for us. Or maybe we want to come work for you at one of the locations or Otis.
How do you get a hold of me?
Yeah.
Carrier pigeon, because I hate technology. No, I'm just kidding. So best way, email lee@otisrestaurant.com. Send me a Facebook message. Follow our Instagram page, which would be Lee Frank's SB, or at Chef Lee Frank.
Yep.
Walk in, especially if you're looking for work.
Right. And the last thing I have to do is have you call somebody out. So that's really my North Star on the show. Like, who do you respect, admire? You already mentioned Justin Walker. I would love to get him on the show. Anybody else that comes to your mind? Somebody you think I should get on the show?
Dave Vargas.
Dave, look, I'm coming back, my friend. I'd love to get him on
Have
the
you
show.
Have you had him on?
I've had him
before?
on, but it's been some time. So I think
How long has it been?
About the same amount of time since the last time I had you on.
I would definitely have him on, especially, Justin is a phenomenal one. And I would love to connect you guys. But Dave Vargas for sure, especially with how much the New England BIPOC Fest that he started has grown, now that it's moved to Prescott Park and not in the Vita parking lot. And just all the outside work he's doing. He'd be a real good one.
Dave, look out. Justin, look out. I'd love to get you guys back, or Justin on the show for the first time, Dave back on the show. And this is where I say thank you so much for carving out 2 hours of your life to sit with me, to talk, to catch up, to share your story, your knowledge, your perspective. There is no questioning, my friend. You are unstoppable.